Welcome to How Women Inspire. Today's guest is a highly accomplished business leader and entrepreneur with a passion for empowering other people. She's the co-founder and president of Hello Alice, the fintech platform helping over 1 million small business owners access capital. Along with her co-founder and CEO, Carolyn Roditz, she's built the largest community of business owners in the country. And before that role, she served as the entrepreneur in residence at Dell Technologies, the United Nations Foundation, and was a Peace Corps volunteer in Bolivia, South America. Throughout her career, she has been passionate about breaking down barriers for entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds, including women, people of color, veterans, and people with disabilities. Elizabeth Gore, I am so happy to have you on this podcast today.
Well, it's such a pleasure, Julie. And in that bio should have been a very proud portfolio company of How Women Invest.
Yes, well, we are so proud of everything that you've done. And I think, Elizabeth, you know this, but for those of you who are listening, I spent 11 years running what was at the time the largest microenterprise and microfinance organization in the United States for women, and focused exclusively on low-income women. And I always thought, how could I be the largest? This is nothing. And when I saw Hello Alice, I was like, they did it. They figured it out. Figured out how to use technology. Of course, I'll give myself a tiny bit of a pass and say maybe technology wasn't quite as advanced, but you guys really figured it out, and you're doing it in spades, and it's so exciting to be along for the journey. So congratulations.
Thank you. Figuring it out every day.
Well, so you started your life, I assume that trip to Bolivia was when you were a youngin', but what inspired you to focus on changing the world and helping people as part of a sort of a drumbeat for your life?
No, that's a great question. I actually went when I was 26. I grew up on a cattle ranch and had the great opportunity to be the first woman in my family to go to college, graduate from college. And I was actually studying cattle there, believe it or not. But while I was there, I got really passionate in student government, and we at my university didn't have any kind of women's facility or childcare facilities, and got in a little bit of trouble protesting, but also got really engaged to help solve some problems there. And it really kind of turned my eye towards the ability to have an impact and work with others around community engagement. And I didn't even know that existed at the time, right? And so I pivoted pretty quick from cattle, I have to admit, to public service, and ended up when I graduated, I got a master's degree as well, and then headed to DC pretty quickly. I mean, right after, and worked for a volunteer organization. I worked for hunger organizations, and just got eat up with public service. But I just wanted to keep going. So I jumped into the Peace Corps when I was 26, and it took me full circle back to agriculture because I was an ag volunteer. But as you and I bonded before, the thing that just trumpeted me immediately was the focus on women and how they make an income, how they can start small businesses, how do they feed their families. I mean, that to me became my whole world at that point. And that was in 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, and you did so many things as part of that journey, but how did you and Carolyn come to get together and create this beautiful resource?
Well, here's the funny story: is Carolyn is actually Bolivian. I was Peace Corps Bolivia. She is from Bolivia, and no connection to that. And then we also went to the same university, no connection there whatsoever. We actually met through a mutual friend, and Carolyn had built 2 different businesses. One, she says, was her biggest learning. It was a failure. Her second one was quite successful. And I met her right after she built that second business. And we really bonded on the fact that there was this huge, massive gap out there on access to capital for women. And whether you're talking about loans or credit or venture capital. But what really attracted me to Carolyn is I saw it as a major problem. She saw it as a huge opportunity. Yeah. And she's very technical, and she just had all these ideas, very much like you, on how do you use technology to build a connective tissue for access to capital.
Yeah. Fantastic. And you talk about the new majority. What if for those
Mhm.
people listening who don't understand what does that term really mean to you?
Yes, when we were building Hello Alice, and by the way, when I met her, I never let her go. I was like, we're doing something together. And so it took us several years to kind of figure out what we were going to do. But we had first built Hello Alice as a technology primarily for women. And then we started seeing different disparities amongst groups, men of color, for example, or US veterans, immigrants, even white males in rural environments who didn't have connectivities. And so when we started looking across that spectrum, it was frankly the vast majority of small business owners. And I'm not a math whiz by any means. When you started adding that up, it was a massive opportunity. So, and we also, particularly Carolyn, who's Latina, was tired of the word minority. She thought that it didn't show the capitalization of, look, this could be a great group to market to sell to do business with. So we came up with the term new majority and stuck with it ever since.
Yeah, well, it certainly is more of a glass half full frame,
Yes.
which I
Yes.
love. So, but there are challenges, like other people haven't figured out how do you get capital to these populations if
Hmm.
somebody doesn't have, an expensive home to put up as collateral or whatever.
Hmm.
How are you figuring out about the health of a company and the founder's ability to pay
Hmm.
back? What is your strategy?
Well, I'll just say for a second, we talk a lot, particularly these days in the media, about a straight up bias or racism or gender discrimination, and which is very complex. We have a lot of work to do there. I will say just as hard is institutional bias that's been baked in for 50, 80, 100 years. And what I mean by that is the way we, let's just take credit, for example, the way we approve credit, for example, is a system that was developed so long ago. And we're using old data, old systems. And so, for example, if you're a woman who have been in a care in the care economy, let's say you've been watching your children, you've stepped out of the workforce, you've been doing elder care, and you don't have credit history, it is very difficult for you to get approved for a commercial credit card, for a loan, and you'll be asked sometimes to put up your home as collateral or cash as collateral, or you'll just be declined, frankly. Or you'll have to look at, which no one should, predatory, which has 30, 40, 50% interest rates. So there are just these systemic long-term ways that we have in our country developed systems to approve or not approve these different types of capital. And we're just having to chip away at those a little bit at a time. But what gets me excited, Julie, is technology. So the way we can collect data, the way we can use machine learning and AI, with the way we can look at recognition of people's assets, their business planning has sped up dramatically. So what we have done at Hello Alice is we've built these new data recognition patterns so that we are first and foremost helping the small business owners with their financial health. That's the most important thing. Even before you get money, is how's your business plan? Have you separated your personal and your private credit, for example? Then as we start talking through applying for grants, loan, credit, whatever that may be, we're helping you get ready for that. Our goal a little bit down the line is actually using new data sets to get those approvals, which we're close on. And that's very exciting.
Is that part of this new business health score?
It is. We developed, when we first started really looking at capital, we created a loan center that has 92 lenders who's not on our balance sheet, where we trust them. We think they're equitable. We like the way they focus. Different lenders should be used for different industries and so on. But when we started looking at credit, we just did not see good credit for small business. So we actually ended up creating our own Hello Alice small business credit program with MasterCard. And that's both for people with credit history and without credit history. We then decided to go one step further. And, this is when you talk about scale or impact that you can do one-on-one. And then how do you do this institutional thing? We then have developed this business health score where we're actually almost, a lot of people are very familiar with their personal credit score, but we're creating a credit score for small business owners, 1 through 100. We understand that rating. So we help you go through an application. We tell you what your score is, but we also recommend how to improve it. So, hey, you're a 75 to get to 80, to get to 90. here are the different classes you should take. Here's the way you should separate your personal professional credit. Here is the business planning you should do. You come back in 90 days and check it again. So that is live now. We're very proud of that. So the other thing is we're also time poor, and business owners, particularly, especially women. And so it's very hard to really sit and concentrate on your finances and your financial hygiene when you're running a business.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make it, this is what Carolyn's a genius at, an easy customer journey, super fast, very efficient. So we're helping you when you have time to do it.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm not asking for a seat at the table. My friends, this is the first generation of us. We have a huge opportunity. We have power and influence and wealth. And we can start building the tables where we get the prime seats. Today, we want to invite you to join us as investors in venture. I know no one's asked you to do it before. It might be something that seems scary or foreign, but I promise you it's not that different than investing in a mutual fund where your retirement funds are. I want you to lean in and just learn a little bit more. How about making the commitment that in the next 12 months, you can give yourself 12 months to figure it out and to take a step. I want to invite you to be part of the new table of power and influence and wealth. You're invited. I want to sit at the table with you because we're going to make big change. We're going to make the world we've been dreaming of. What's your favorite success story?
Oh, wow. I will say that COVID-19 was a very purposeful time for our business, very hard, like most people. But we really dug deep to help our small business owners in ways that I don't think we were expecting. One, of course, was that access to capital. So we were finding and distributing millions of dollars in grants. But there were other things. We helped people declare bankruptcy without ruining their credit. I never thought in a million years we'd set up something to help someone close a business, so then the next one they could reopen in a way that they still had credit history. We set up a mental health center. It became very isolating, very difficult. And we are not mental health professionals, but we were pointing in really efficient way to get help. And so we've always wanted to be there in that moment for small business owners when they need something, but that was changing every week at that time. And it taught us a lot about just listening and being able to pivot fast based on the needs of those business owners. So that to us was a time of, like everyone, very tight, 24/7, watching cash, like, ooh, but it was also very purposeful.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I know
Absolutely.
thousands of people kept their head above water because they got grants and other financial resources through and from Hell Alice. So I've seen you in action trying to make sure that there are resources available for people. And just real quick, if you can just share sort of what is the percentage of different kinds of groups on the platform? What small business owners are you really targeting?
Sure. So we've got 1.2 million. We do work with very small businesses. So less than 20 employees generally, which many people don't know are the largest employers in our country, aggregate. And we're in all 50 states across all industries. However, we do focus on the new majority. 90% of our small business owners identify as new majority women, people of color, US veterans, the LGBTQ plus community, individuals with disabilities. And so that population has grown as we've grown, which is really exciting. Also very proud to say that this is a very commercially viable population, that businesses should focus on this population. They should market to them. They should sell to them. They should loan to them. We'll stand on any street corner and say, this is a very productive population of small business owners.
Well, and they're the future, white.
Absolutely.
And they're not going to be the future, right? There's not enough of them.
Yep. We're here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you have achieved such extraordinary success, and you've done it while maintaining your core values and bringing forward something that is so critical at this time in the United States. Has it been easy, Elizabeth?
Oh, my Lord, no.
No. About being a woman, it's making it harder on occasion,
Yeah, and I'll tell you, there have been years that I'll say we're fundraising right now. And the very first time we raised money for our company was incredibly difficult. And this time is incredibly difficult. The bookends, the middle got easier for a while when we hit momentum. We were really hitting our stride. And it's ironic when you're small and scrappy, I think you just do it, you get it done. And now as a larger growth company, I feel like we're scrappy again. It's kind of a weird thing. And so I would say these bookends are very difficult. There's a lot of scrutiny when you're small and new, and there's a lot of scrutiny when you hit a certain level, I think.
Yeah.
And particularly, we're raising a Series C now. And as a woman minority owned company, I mean, there's probably, I can count on 10 fingers women I can reach out to and get counsel on right now. That's why I love how women invest. Is it's an isolating time. I feel very blessed to we have a great leadership team right now, which has a lot more expertise than just two of us trying to do everything. So that I feel much more secure in that.
Right.
But on the flip side, I feel the pressures of a larger team, and I feel very responsible for them. They're more mature. We were a younger company, young people right out of college. These are people with children and families and mortgages. So I feel a lot more
10 years
responsibility.
later, like they've now
Yes.
grown up in the company.
Yes. Yeah. So, then there's the highs and lows of, we're both mothers. We both have children. We both also cared for our parents quite a bit as they've aged. And we've always put our children before our business, whether people like to hear that or not. And while that is 100% the right thing to do, that can make it hard sometimes, right? But I also think it makes us amazing decision makers, and we have a lot of objectivity. We're very frugal. There's a lot of great qualities with it. So yeah, I mean, life throws highs and lows. The economy does, business does, just part of it. And but going back to your values question, that's the only thing that pulls you through, I think.
Yeah.
Those really tough times, if you let go of those, if you sacrifice them, if you, particularly your personal core values of what you need as a leader, that's when your business can suffer.
Yeah, it certainly can. Well, and you're leading such a big team. If you want all of those people to put in the extra effort in COVID, they better know that they're doing it for a reason that's more than paycheck, right?
That's very true.
It helped so many people get through those hard times. So, and all of that challenge, and here you are a role model, Elizabeth. So many people look up to you for what you've done and how you've done it. What is your advice to other women? Let's start with women entrepreneurs who are getting told no, because you're the one who's the out front fundraiser, right?
Yeah.
So how do you handle it?
Well, you're going to hear a lot of no's. I think that's the first thing I want everyone to hear. Male, female, anybody. When I hear these guys on stage, oh yeah, it was so easy. I'm like, that's a bunch of crap. I guarantee it wasn't easy for them either. So learn from the no's. There's amazing pattern recognition in no's. Ask for feedback. There's the occasional asshole out there. Don't worry about them. But when you keep getting the same question or the reason why you were told no, you can learn a lot from that, first of all. And then when it can get demoralizing, we're in a tough economy right now. There's a lot more doors going to be shut. And in those times, go back to your core purpose, go back to your team, go back to your day job for a few minutes. Remember why you're doing it, because it does pull you out of the core business for a while. And so go check in with your employees. I would say the last thing is you never know who's going to say yes, is the opposite side of that. I've been so surprised over the years of these long shots or Hail Marys, however you want to call them, that worked. And you're just like, oh my gosh. So I would say learn for the no's. When you do start getting a little rundown, demoralized, remember why you're there. Go back to your team, your customers, whatever that is. And the third is, go for the long shots. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to remember those, because we all need that. Anyone who's on the line, it's just like, get back to the core and remind yourself. And you're such a tremendous leader. So in general, your leadership advice, or what are your tenets for leadership?
Well, I'd say they have shifted over the years. I think I was more, it sounds odd, but more like chummy, friendly, we're all going to be a big family leader. And as the company grows, it gets more difficult. You have harder decisions. You can't tell everyone everything. It becomes more isolating. And so instead of being a friend, I've almost wanted to become someone that people respect and they trust. that your lives are in their hands, your money, your paychecks. Do I trust this leader? Do I want to follow them into whatever we're doing? Do I respect the decisions they're making? And I think maybe that's getting older too. You're not going to all the happy hours and everyone's weddings and and all the things. But does your team trust you? Do they know that you're valued? If you miss a deadline, yeah, we're going to have consequences. But if you make that deadline, I got you. The other thing I actually emulate, I hope that, I said my children come first. I do always want that for my own team, whether it's their partner, their kids, their parents, them personally, is what do they need for those folks to do a great job at work. And so I guess those are the different things. Definitely admit mistakes a lot more as I get older, talk about things I don't understand. I was the first with our team with the SVB collapse, because they're a very large investor of ours, to say, I don't know what's happening. I got to go dig in. Give me a day. You don't want to say something that's you don't know or not true, right? So
Well, and you might have been through one of these cycles before.
yeah, yeah,
Stage, right? I think once
yes,
you go through it a couple times, you realize, like, listen, like, you got to
it
be honest
happens.
about that panic and that we used to do. It's like you can't
Yeah,
control things that you can't control. What you
right.
can do is be knowledgeable and be transparent and honest and
Sure.
not fake it, right?
Very,
Uh,
very true. Very
of course,
true.
so speaking of fake it, there's all this stuff in the news right now about, people who didn't behave with integrity in this space. And I worry about, how it sullies the way people think about investing in startups and investing in venture. What are the patterns that you really see, though? You see 1.2 million business
Yeah.
owners.
Well,
What do you want those people to know about those
yeah.
in this country?
I would say I'm definitely an optimist and I believe in people, but I would say the vast majority of business owners are really just trying to pursue one of two things: something they're really passionate about, or they're really trying to make a living. And based on those two things, they're not going to be lying to you, bullshitting you, coming up with things they shouldn't. They might not understand a system and need to ask a lot more questions or need help, particularly because the majority of our audience don't have a business degree. I certainly didn't. But I do see this eagerness to learn, to ask questions, to get good investors, to receive good counsel and advice. I think the 24-hour news cycle throws folks up that really, even some of the success stories that we shouldn't try to emulate. The most women and a lot of people of color, they're not going to drop out of college and sleep on a couch and throw away their savings that, by the way, most of us didn't have anyways, to start a company, right? That's 0.01%, right? A lot of people have to make very calculated risks. They're going to have to figure out how to have health care before they can quit that job. So I would say the vast majority, as particularly of new majority business owners, are very calculated. They're very frugal. They're going to make very wise decisions, and they're the right folks to bet on, in my opinion.
Yeah. So for everybody who's listening here, what do you want them to know about how they should interface with Hello Alice? We've about 6 people who listen to this podcast.
Well, the first thing I'm very proud of is our ability to help you with your business health. And that's since the day we started. And so we have free tools for you to understand how is your business planning going, how you should be using or accessing capital. And that's the base of any business, no matter what industry you're in, how much capital you're starting with. I remember Michael Dell once, I asked him, because I had the opportunity to work for him for a while, what keeps him up at night? And he said cash flow. And I was like, this is $1 billion company. He thinks about cash flow. So whether you're starting with $1 or $1 billion, really your business health is so critical. And then from that, we can help you access the capital you need. So those are really the core areas. But the heart and soul, I would say, of Hello Alice is each other. So we have a wonderful military spouse community that I was talking to day before yesterday, for example. They found each other in Hello Alice. They have to move around all the time with their spouses, but they keep their businesses running because they help each other, right? We're the largest Black-owned business center. There's just so much community on Hello Alice, which is I think a special sauce. So find that in there, because being a business owner is hard. It can be isolating, but when you look to your left and your right, you figure out, oh, other people are going through this too. You can really learn from that.
So for anyone starting a business, go to Hello Alice. And for a company that is trying to get in front of small business owners and wants to build
Right.
a reputation with them, what is the opportunity for them through Hello Alice?
Yes, come to Hello Alice. We really help what we call enterprise business services and any kind of banking, finance, get in front of a more diverse customer base, which again is the fastest growing population. And so we can help you diversify your customer. So we come on board. We love having y'all too.
Excellent. All right, Elizabeth, how do people find you and how do people find Hello Alice?
Yes, at Elizabeth Gore on Twitter. I think same on Instagram and helloalice.com.
Yep.
We're here for y'all and we love engaging, learning, hearing your ideas and how we can do better.
Fantastic. All right, Elizabeth. I mean, this has been such a fun tour of everything from, you started out cattle ranching and got, degrees around that,
Crazy.
Olivia, to now, solving the biggest issue that stops the country from growing new jobs and new companies, which is small business finance. So thank you so much
Oh, such a pleasure.
for everything that you do and for sharing how people can really understand and engage with small business owners.
Well, we love the How and Invest community. Thank you so much, Julie, for your leadership.
My pleasure.